Welcome to the Energy Hour. The Energy Hour is brought to you by Quality Home Improvement, Southern California's premier residential and commercial contractor, making homes and businesses energy efficient, one building at a time.
What's going on, Rob? Hey, Curtis. What's happening?
How's it going?
Hey, now.
Welcome to the Energy Hour.
Thank you.
Hey, man. Today's what? Wednesday?
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Short week.
Gosh,
Short week.
It's almost June.
Yeah.
I know.
I mean, what happened to this year?
It's
flew by.
flown.
I don't know where it's gone.
It has wings.
It has wings. So we're kind of doing a videotaping here, and we're doing an audio taping at the same time. So eventually, we'll be able to do the podcast via a vlog, and then to be able to throw that out on YouTube and everything else, and everything else we kind of pile into that.
So we're all gonna have to groom and comb our hair more for this.
I'm gonna have to lose about 40 pounds, but
Oh, my God.
you're gonna have to get cover that bald spot up.
Don't
Rob.
worry. I got a couple
wow.
of them.
Oh, you're talking about you got one too?
I got
He's got three, he
Yeah.
says. I don't.
I got it covered.
All right. So today we're talking about the ability of a nonprofit to take advantage of getting a renewable energy system for the roof, a solar system.
Right.
This is the famous 501c3.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Recently, I had somebody tell me because there's a lot of bad information floating out there as well.
Yes.
Believe it or not, I think more bad than good.
That's
Nobody wants somebody to take advantage of all that, right?
And it's certainly confusing at the least.
And so when somebody gets confused, what do? They go, well,
Yeah.
maybe it's not meant for me, or I'll get back to you because I'm going to talk to my tax guy, and they never talk to that guy.
Right.
That's right.
The tax guy is like a facade.
Right.
You
So what we try to do is what? We try to educate. That's what we're trying to do. Give you information so you can make good decisions.
I mean, why not do what you can for the betterment of your business, regardless of the, even if it's a 501c3.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
right. That's
I mean,
right.
for profit, 501c3, nonprofit, they should all be the same.
Right.
It's still a business.
That's
Right. And there are some differences, and that's what we want to kind of cover so you know what you can still take advantage of.
Okay, perfect. So if I'm going to put myself into a situation as a business, and you guys kind of help me out.
Okay.
All right. So if I'm a 501c3, a nonprofit, I'm a church.
Okay.
Okay.
Would you put solar on your roof?
Absolutely.
Sure.
And when?
Well, again, it just like
Yesterday, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like any other property. Any other property we're gonna review, right?
Exactly.
We're gonna take a look at your bill. We're gonna take a look at a number of things and make sure it's viable for you. And then, like we're talking today, we're gonna look at what kind of incentives can you take advantage of. But churches have large bills, like a lot of businesses.
Let's talk about one of the biggest ones, I think. Even if they couldn't take advantage of the federal tax credit, which I don't know why the federal government's not letting them do that.
Well, can we address that?
No, let's do that, please.
Okay, so
elephant in the room, please.
Elephant in the
my
room.
God,
So
it's big.
the basic thing is the ITC is a federal tax incentive. Still 30% this year. The challenge for 501c3s is they have no federal tax liability.
Correct.
If you don't pay federal taxes, you've
don't.
got nothing to write the liability off against, and therefore the federal tax incentive does nothing for you.
So help me out. Let's just say I'm a layman from the street. Of course, I know this, but
Right.
I want you to fill in the blanks. So I'm the new guy. I'm the new director of a church. But, I mean, I buy things for my business, right?
Correct.
It's a business. Number one, it's paying for my accommodations. It's paying me a salary and everything else.
Right.
So it's profit in some way, but it's passing that on to me
Right.
as an individual
Correct.
instead of the church. So it makes it look better, right? So that being said, now I can't take advantage of anything on the federal tax credits.
The federal-
I mean,
yeah.
F is for federal, the United States of
Right.
America.
Right.
T for taxes.
Well-
and C is a credit. So
Well,
why
but
couldn't I do that?
Well, but in a way, because there's no federal taxes being paid by the church, it's just as if we had a residential customer, right? And there's a lot of companies out there that unfortunately misrepresent the ITC, the federal tax incentive. They tell people left and right, buy your system and you're going to get $10,000 back. You're going to get $20,000 back. But what is that based on? It's based on their federal tax liability. If they don't have enough liability, they can't get the incentive, or they'll get part of it, or they'll get some of it over time. Well, the
Yeah.
church has zero federal tax liability.
So that's the line in the sand.
That's the line in the
The
sand.
church has zero federal liability, therefore
Exactly.
it doesn't apply.
That's the benefit they get, is that they have no federal taxes, period. So
Wow,
they're getting that all the time.
God, I wish I could do that for myself.
I know. But there
be
are
awesome. That'd
other
be awesome.
exactly. There are other incentives though that they could take advantage of.
So another one, so the FTC's out.
Correct.
Yes.
If you're not paying, you're not getting. And that's just how it is. And, of course, they want to whittle that down to zero.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the year, all these things that they've paid out. And let's talk about those other ones. One of my favorite ones, and this is a powerful acronym for solar and churches, it's called M.A.C.R.S.
Right.
M.A.C.R.S. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
M.A.C.R.S. So it's called the Federal Accelerated Depreciation. That's what happens.
Right.
It's the modified, whatever they call that. And you can get all this information at desireusa.org.
Right.
Yes.
You can't miss it. So that's 34%.
Right.
34% of 100% you're buying is a lot of money.
Absolutely.
It's
So it's
30. What is that per 100?
$34,000 per 100,000.
That's insane, right?
It's a lot of money.
So
Yeah.
churches, and of course, I don't think your local utility provider is giving you any whoop-de-doo,
course not.
on electricity cost. You still get into GS1, and we know that once a church turns on its organs and all that equipment,
lights,
that's
everything.
$20K.
Right. Right.
So
but see,
they're going to
you're-
spike.
You're bringing up a really great point, okay? Because who is writing off that utility cost of new equipment? Edison,
Yeah.
DWP, Pasadena Water and Power. Every time they're putting in transformers, do you think they're not depreciating all of that?
Absolutely.
Well, one of the things you get to do when you become your own utility yourself, okay, is that you get to do that depreciation. And this one does apply to everyone, including nonprofits.
Which I love.
And that's 34%.
That's a nice
So
incentive.
34,000 for every 100,000 you spend is no way to get. I mean, that's just beautiful.
It's fantastic.
You can't beat that with a stick. So if I was a church and we just looked at one today, Curtis and I, this demand represented, believe it or not, it was close to 50%
Oh, yeah. Everybody.
of the entire bill
Yeah.
was demand charge and distribution.
Yeah.
What really, really jerks my chain is, you look at the Edison bill, and unfortunately, and did I tell you how they told me as a customer? I called up one time and said, "Hey, I'm a business customer, so tell me something about demand charge." You know what they told me? They said, "Chris, this is what happens. This is why you have a demand charge. If you spike over 20 kilowatts, so from zero energy to 20 kilowatts, which is
Right.
20,000 watts in any given 15-minute interval,
Right.
I'm now going to go from GS1 to GS2. GS2 is nothing to shake a stick at.
No.
That's when you first start getting into harm's way.
Right.
GS2 will run you out of business fast, and a lot of businesses don't realize this.
That's right.
So at least 40 to 50% of all businesses that are over the 20 kilowatt spike
Yeah.
is suffering from this thing called demand charges, right?
Exactly.
So the problem is they told me, they go, "Listen, our company is going to generate that extra energy that you needed, and we're going to store it across the street just in case you need it."
Right. In case you need.
Are you kidding
Yeah.
me?
It-
Seriously?
Oh, that's
Because it has to be.
That was a lame response
but
as far as I'm
It
concerned.
has to predict that potential energy use, where you hit it or not.
So my business, let's just say hypothetically speaking, it spiked at 22 kilowatts. They're going to bill me that 22K for the entire month.
Exactly. So say you were at 10 most of the time,
Right.
but one of your intervals measured out at 22.
You
Congratulations.
got it.
That's
You
what
stuck.
that's what you're paying on.
I'm going to have a 22 kilowatt
Yeah.
demand charge,
Yeah.
and demand charge starts at $15, and I've seen it as high as $30.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The average bill that I see with demand charge minimum is $15 and change. I've seen them up to $18 and change. And now they just threw that curve at everybody, and they got this critical peak pricing.
Right.
So when are they going to put that as a line item?
But when we look at a bill that might be for a big company, right? And let's say they have a $10,000 a month bill. How much of that bill is demand charge a lot of times?
Most of it is
24.
between 36 to 44%.
To 44% of your bill.
Of the entire bill. And
Yeah.
that includes, of course, the transmission.
Right.
You know, I've always thought of this distribution transmission thing as kind of a, you know, an oxymoron, right?
Mhm.
If they're going to deliver it to you and then transmit it, is that
Remember, that's what I always call shipping and handling.
shipping and handling? Oh,
Yeah.
but it
it's
has.
it's not the product.
Oh, it's
not
the
the energy.
shipping and handling.
It's shipping and
Yeah.
handling. Yeah.
That's true.
Did they get the tape for free, or they got to pay for that?
You can't get Prime in that sense, where you know
Oh.
you just get it delivered for nothing.
Got it.
But
So that you know that demand is crazy.
yeah,
And literally, 44%, whoever's listening out there in commercial world,
Mm-hmm.
if you got a building, especially at church, please, come on, take advantage of this. 34%, well, your return on investment's not far. And then
Mm-hmm.
once you've got that in place, we can work on the demand charts just as long as it's not, like
Right.
190K.
right,
Right.
right.
It goes from 20 to 200.
Exactly.
If you're above 100 from 20, I don't think we're going to be able to help you at all.
Right, right.
Unless we do some massive lithium ions, with the battery management system that's going to, offset the demand at any
Spike.
given time.
Right.
That's expensive.
It's expensive, but you got to also keep in mind some of the bills we've looked at $10,000 a month, and you've got $4,400 a month being demand charge. You could pay for those systems, and again, not the ITC, but the M.A.C.R.S will apply to all of that. You can depreciate all this equipment, whether you're for profit or not for profit.
Exactly. Curtis and I recently went over to Fontana.
Yeah.
There was this business that we're dealing with, and we kind of diagnosed the bills, and I told him that, 30, I think it was 38%.
30.
38% was all demand charges. And I told him the story of how they're going to hold that energy across the street.
Oh my God.
This guy just shook his head and he goes, "Really?" I go, "Yeah, that's what they told me."
Well, when you think about it, though, okay, the utility has to be able to supply enough energy for you. So what they're doing is it's kind of predictive management of energy, right? Because they got to keep the energy power, they got to balance their energy grid, correct? And so what they're looking at is those intervals that they're testing. Is they're trying to say when might you have more demand, and if they don't calculate all that, well, then you have brownouts or you can have blackouts.
We have grid problems, right?
You got grid problems.
Absolutely.
The problem is, which is just tragically unfair, is you as a customer, you could be in GS1 territory all month. You could be not tipping that 20K type, barrier. And all of a sudden you hit it once in that month, and that's what you're going to get charged for.
That almost doubles your energy costs.
And it's a complete unfair way of managing like what they're charging you. It's just like, well, no, sorry, that's what you got once. All month you got that once.
So tell me something.
We're going to charge it like it's happening every 15 minutes for the whole month.
It doesn't take much businesses, depending on the criteria of the business, to get to 20 kilowatts.
Oh no. That's
We
what
were looking.
talking
We
about
were looking
yesterday.
in that
Exactly.
that building. They had 3 little motors running. One to evacuate some air and some liquid, and they looked like they were on wheels.
Oh God.
There were just 3 of them that plugged in, and that brought this guy over 20K.
Yeah, I think
It was horrible.
these, including Edison, they're for-profit businesses. That line wasn't just, they didn't pull that number out of thin air. They figured that number represented a number that was not hard to get
That's
to
correct.
for most businesses. Now, if you have equipment or you have refrigeration or you have any sort of thing like that, forget it. Or compressors, your business is going to be way over that, probably all the time. So, but they drew that line because they know that's a reasonable place for them to start making that next level of money.
So, in regards going back to the church situation, what the hell is spiking over 20K?
Well, as you know, what do we do? We'll pull some interval data, or we could look at that and see what's happening.
I mean, we can diagnose it like that, but I mean, a common church,
Lights all at one time.
I
That's
mean,
what the
seriously, the
pastor said.
facility manager should be told how to turn the energy on.
Well,
Let's
but
solve
remember
those
the
problems.
But
said-
look what Curtis just said.
The pastor said we have to by law. Remember, you said I want to find out which law that is, because how can they tell me that I need to turn all of my lights on at one time?
That's ridiculous.
Or
Yeah, but see,
something's wrong.
Show me that law.
So here's the thing. Most people, when they walk into an office or a church or any sort of business, they come in and the first one in starts flipping all the equipment on and all the lights, right? So they come on, they put the lights on, they warm up the copy machine, they brew a cup of coffee. They're spiking from 8 o'clock in the morning if that's when they open. Instead of what we know with software systems, maybe we start having stuff turn on at 6:30, 7. Comes on every 15 minutes so you avoid that spike. But no one's really educated in knowing that's what's happening on the demand side. The best thing always, did I say always?
Yeah.
Always
Yeah.
is to become your own utility, people. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
All these loopholes, all these charges, all these interval, you can avoid that. In most cases, we'll tell you if you can't. That's what we consult for. We tell you if it's wise for you or not. Mm-hmm. But if you take your power back and you control it, then you're your utility. You are. You set your rules. We define the system that then takes you out of the system that has been treating you this way and charging all this. And like you said, sometimes it's 2 phases. We're going to do solar, and maybe we come back with batteries once we see what's left.
Well, that's what I love about the customer, too, because yesterday, it's somewhat coincide with the church, is that they turn on everything. He said his pumps get there probably 9 or 10, and then they turn them on.
They turn it on.
They move from one pump to the other pump.
Yeah.
And so they use them pumps throughout the whole day till about 3 o'clock.
Can't a church get like a preferred rate? I mean, there are some families that get
Listen,
D-Care,
FARA,
Do they have a little bit of
they're giving
more
25% discounts to the employees, right?
Yeah.
They get a 25% discount on their electric bill because they work for those guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we don't have to tell you who they are. They already know.
No, one of the best things to do,
Right?
as you know, is to sell one of them a solar system because I saved them 35-40%, so I still beat the discount.
Hello.
And they owned it.
Right?
There you go.
How cool is it when we sell Edison
Well, it's
employees?
like it's like what it's like somebody uses heroin all his life and he gets on this government program. It's called methadone.
Yeah.
That's just a synthetic heroin.
Exactly.
You're not solving the problem.
No.
You gotta find the problem, and that's what interval data does. So if you go to our website, QHIinc.com, and you click on the commercial tab at the top,
Right.
just scroll right down to where it says, we are currently working on. Are you currently working on a commercial project? If so, request your interval data from Utility API.
Right.
Click on that button. And then there's a video. You can understand what interval data really is.
Yes.
It's basically like you're getting a cardiologist to look at your heart when you have heart arrhythmia, right?
Exactly.
It's the same thing they're doing at your utility bill.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is put your email in there, make sure you're the company rep,
Right.
and then click on the customer utility and submit it. Mm-hmm. We'll get an email back from Utility API,
Right.
and this whole thing just costs like $10.
Yeah.
That's
It's
awesome.
ridiculous,
My best $10 you ever spent,
right?
right? I mean,
and it'll show you 365 days of the year, every 15-minute interval.
Mm-hmm.
What you got to do is, of course, you get our commercial package, and we take that interval data and we tell you exactly how high, what color, and how long this is going on, right?
Right.
So if anybody who owns a business, who has their own building, especially building owners, right?
That's right.
You don't even need to own your building anymore to put solar on it
that's
because
right.
we got that covered.
Right.
But if you're in business and you have a building and the electric bill is like pissing you off now, you're just like sick and tired of it, go to the commercial tab on the website, click on that little button there, get in the Utility API, and do something about it.
Yeah, sometimes, I mean, if you're not too bad, right, sometimes that data just tells us we can help you change some habits, right?
Habits are the first thing we look for.
So solar, is, if you've got a large bill, typically solar's just a given.
Yeah.
But then we look at habits because the interval data tells us what you're doing on the day. We might be saying, if you did this at a little different time or you waited a half hour to do that or whatever it is, you can even out some of those spikes. And
it's all timing.
And that helps as well. It's just like you said, habits are really important. After that, then we can look, and if there's anything still left, we can look at ways of having your system absorb some of that spike so the utility doesn't see it, and then you don't have to pay on it.
Exactly. So back to churches.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a 501c3,
Yes.
take advantage of the M.A.C.R.S.
Absolutely, and you can, and we're not your certified public accountant. We're not claiming to be, but definitely go.
I mean, this is
CPA.
basic math,
That's
folks.
awesome.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you need to talk to an accountant, 34% times whatever, I mean, maybe you should be doing something else.
Yeah, but it's
You don't have to pay a guy to tell you about that
yeah,
either.
it's important to know what incentives, and there's another incentive out there for people that are looking to finance. There's also check into green loans that are their preferred rates because they're trying to encourage you going solar.
Title 24 is doing it now with houses.
Yeah.
Commercial buildings is right around the corner.
We have a building right now that their entire loan, in fact, the bank told them they're out of regular TI and construction loans, but they're selling preferred rate loans if you're 15% solar. So, I mean, that can apply to anybody, including churches or anyone.
Yeah, exactly.
But try to find every incentive. What we try to do here is help you find all these ways to save as much as you can.
Absolutely. Especially if I'm a business, nonprofit or not.
Right.
It doesn't matter. What happens if I get solar? Now, the next thing you should do to save a little bit more money, go get yourself a preferred green loan
That's right.
on the building.
Yeah.
Take advantage of that stuff.
Absolutely.
If you just want to go ahead and, you get your bill in the mail, you rip off the bottom, you scream at your secretary or everybody in the hallway for the first 3 minutes,
Write
and
the
then
check.
pay your bill and write the check. Hey, power to you.
Yeah.
That's
But
right.
if you want to be smarter than everybody else,
Yeah.
don't let these guys, these wolves, take advantage of you.
And I'll tell you, from our standpoint too, once we see so many customers thrilled with their new bills, right? It's really exciting to see people know that they're saving. It sometimes takes a bit of a paradigm shift to realize you're going to generate your power instead of buying it. You're going to own your power instead of rent it. Once you get there, I'll be happy you did, because the prices are only going up. The incentives are only going down.
2023, when the federal tax credit has finally been buried, every single residential customer, because of the fulcrum that's happening right now,
Yeah.
I mean, critical peak pricing, demand charges, I'm going to make a premonition. And I'm pretty good with this stuff. I bet you $100, anybody out there in podcast land, I bet you $100, eventually demand charges will come to the residential market.
Come on now.
They've been prepping people for a long time, and now they've done it. They've taken away tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right.
Just like businesses,
They've moved
they're
the
now
time of
calling it time of use, and that's the biggest acronym, the TOU, that businesses have been doing for years.
Exactly. And they moved it to the most critical time of when you're with your family. So they say, hey, we're going to stick you with the highest rate when you're going to use it the most. So yeah, I think
Ridiculous.
I think a lot of the stuff you see on commercial, it all ends up trickling to residential. And
Now, hopefully, I'm not planting any seeds
Well, we've seen some already.
at our
We've
favorite
seen
utility
some
companies.
these
you know,
utility companies have planned out the next decade or two. They know every new thing they're going to.
they can't wait to
put
get that
upon
next
you.
lobbyist up there to get that approved.
But you could become your own utility and
Yeah,
take
yeah.
that control
Eliminate all of
and
that.
let them. None of that has to affect you.
That's for sure.
Don't let the fox jump into the hen house and tell you what to do, especially if you have control to do that.
That's right.
Yeah, and you have more tools and more incentives today than you've ever had, and that's true. We've got the best price point on some of the highest quality equipment. We've got the best incentives, great loan rates. I mean, really, has there ever been a time better than this year right now?
2009,
We've been in this a long time.
2019 is the best year of the solar industry because you're no longer going to get a federal tax credit eventually.
Right.
And let me back up for a second. Businesses get a 10% federal tax credit.
Right. That'll continue.
It goes from 30 all the way down to 10.
Exactly.
And that's until they decide to steal that from you too.
Oh, exactly.
Right? So the M.A.C.R.S, they can't take that away from you.
Thank God.
I'm not from the IRS or
Right.
anything like that, but I'm not giving them any suggestions either.
Depreciation's been pretty
California is
solid.
kind of a rough state as it is, right?
Yeah.
Dude, give these people the power to get more green energy on their roofs. I mean, why take this federal tax credit away? It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't, because you look at what California's trying to do. Which
Make
is,
it 50%.
Which is get how many homes in the next couple decades they want solar. The best way to do that is start generating some
Incentivizing. Hello.
especially from the
That will
state.
do
The
it.
state had incentives before. We need to put stuff back
It was
in.
a 15% state tax credit.
Mm-hmm.
Sprint does a better incentive than our government.
Pretty much.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
each phone is $15-20,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's great.
But if California can go ahead and start putting their money where their mouth is, so not just set these goals, which are great goals. I come from architecture too, so we're looking at the 2030 leads goals and things like that. But if they can come out and incentivize it, we'll get there.
We're in the best country on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, besides Germany, who's got better incentives than we would ever imagine.
Well, Europe is taking more advantage of it.
They're
for
20
sure.
years ahead of us, but
Oh, yeah.
cutting them out of the equation, I mean, most of these other different countries have a better incentivized type program.
Yes.
But United States of America is the best place to live. California specifically.
Yeah, it's a great
We've
place.
got the beaches, the mountains, we've got, the deserts. We've got perfect weather here, but we have one of the most screwed up economies I have ever seen in my life.
and
So-
highest energy cost.
which is insane. So, if anything, I'm going to applaud the utilities for keep raising your rates. Thank you, guys. It just keeps us in business. We appreciate that.
That's right.
Secondly, I just think that, it's a travesty. We're losing the federal tax credit now. And if you're a church and you're listening to this, seriously, you need to take some time out and speak to your father just a little bit more to let him shed some light on this. Because remember, the sun, God did say, let there be light, right? It's only 93 million miles away.
And there it was.
And there it is, right?
Best energy plant in the world, right?
But you hit something on the head, too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Rob.
Yeah, no, go.
About the not being the tax man. Consult with somebody who has
Yeah.
your best interest at hand. So that way you're able to understand what the M.A.C.R.S is. So
Exactly.
you're able
Validate
to now
everything
take
we're talking
advantage
about.
of those
Validate
things.
it, yes.
Because that's more important as well for you to save costs to put back into your church for those savings and the write-off you can get.
Absolutely. But you came up with something else in just what you said that caught my attention. Look, right now you have positive incentives. These are incentives that save you money.
That's right.
When it's gone, the only incentive you're left with is being overcharged.
That's right. That's not an alternative.
So it's a negative incentive. Okay, so when Edison, DWP, any of these utilities out there, I say Edison a lot because that's a territory I'm in, but that's a negative incentive. And you know what? As costly as they've been, and as much as they raise every year, they still haven't, for some people, created enough pain to make the switch. That confounds me.
I can't wait till
That
they charge.
boggles my mind.
Wow.
I can't wait till they charge $50 per kilowatt on the demand charge.
So when you look at that though, it's like take advantage now while you have that growing negative incentive, but you have a lot of positive incentives around to save you the money to switch now. You're going to do it anyway. In 2023, you'll still do it.
And one more thing I want to mention very, very positively, Rob and Curtis. Work with a company that chooses quality equipment. Don't be using these ping pang bing bong type panels that are coming from Bolivia or
Yeah.
Transylvania.
You don't-
Who knows anymore?
You don't
Shit.
want the mass-produced. Yeah, no, you don't.
Yeah, that's right.
There was a guy recently that just came up to me and he goes, and he does it to me all the time. I get these emails and I forward them to you, Rob. We sell panel 32 cents a watt.
Right.
Man, when I first got in this business, I couldn't buy one at $4 a watt,
Yeah.
which is crazy. And I go, do you have any tariff problems? He goes, no, we ship it over there and they ship it over there. Then they bring it back to the U.S.
And that's the thing. They
The
always
tariff thing's a joke,
They
man.
always have a way to get
Ridiculous.
They always have a way to get around it. But quality, and you were talking about being
Number
in California,
one, quality.
Silicon Valley, right?
Solaria.
Right out
I
of
mean,
Silicon Valley.
You can't get any better panel than Solaria on your roof.
It's a fantastic
Listen,
panel.
it doesn't matter if you're company X, Y, or Z. If you guys aren't putting Solaria solar panels on your customer's roof, you're doing them a disservice.
Yeah, it's because
That's
people
right.
have to understand it's not just about wattage and efficiency now and what it can produce now. It's what's that panel going to produce in 10 years, 20 years down the road. Or
Exactly.
more. So you want something with low degradation, a lot of longevity built into it. And the way this panel's been built, it's made for that. So again, yeah,
And then
Quality.
translate that energy with a great inverter.
great inverter.
SMA America, German made, is one of the best inverters on the planet.
Yeah.
And it still is. Some of the residential stuff had some issues way back then. They've worked through the bugs. They all have. You had these other companies like Fronius and these other ones that I used to see and hear time after time. Oh, we have to do an RMA on that house. Don't use those inverters anymore.
Right.
Why go out there and be a service company when you should be an installation company?
That's right.
And putting these right the first time on somebody's roof?
Exactly. Well, you look at our ratings and how long we've been around. We're putting stuff on the roof that lasts.
I mean,
That's right.
it's
Set
there.
it and forget it, right?
Right?
You
Set
know
it.
it. You know it's
The
going to work.
Ronco methodology.
Yeah, no, you know it's
Set
going
it
to
and
work.
forget it.
It's just like what we do with our roofing. It's like what we do with everything. We can stand behind what we're offering because we know the product we're putting on your house.
So regardless of what I'm paying in my electric bill, if I'm a church, should I really focus on solar?
Of
Yes.
course.
Absolutely, right?
I would absolutely look into it. Absolutely. And if you got a large bill, you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not doing it.
Get involved.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What does it hurt to get an estimate to show you what your savings can be? How
We'll
much
do
time
that,
is
We'll
it?
do that for free.
Absolutely.
No
You know?
problem.
You need carports? We can do that too.
Take an hour out of your time and find out what it can do for you.
Exactly.
And trust me, if it's not working for you, we'll be the first ones to tell you.
Absolutely. Curtis, your final thoughts on religious buildings getting solar?
As being part of the church body and since 1986, I think, again, that they should consider it totally. Not only would it help save and eliminate their bill, but again, the M.A.C.R.S would do wonders for them to put money back into the church and have the ability to then offer it to the congregation and show them that, hey, the money that we're saving now is going for other programs that can help. in
Talking
some
about
manner.
kickstarting these programs.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
That would do
It's
it.
insane, right?
That
Well,
would
it's
do it.
it's kind of like the most godly energy in a way too, isn't it?
I love it. Yeah.
I mean, when you really take a look
No.
at it, if you've got this planet, we're supposed to be good stewards of it. We're supposed to take care of it.
Absolutely.
And we don't very well, actually. That's why there was that study that said if all insects were to die today, our planet would basically die in 50 years. If all humans died today, it would flourish in 50 years.
That's right.
That's a problem when you take a look
That's
at that.
crazy, right?
Because, it kind of shows who the problem is. But we could be good stewards of that. So, and what's beautiful now is you could save your planet and save money at the same time.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
It's not costing you more.
Right.
Isn't that crazy? So wait a minute. I get to get solar. I get to own it. I get to have my own energy. And it's less money,
And increase property
Fantastic.
value.
Imagine that.
right?
So, Rob, what's your final thoughts on commercial / a 501c3 with that M.A.C.R.S?
I think it's just something that every business should be looking at. I think the earlier you take control of your bills, the better, because it's not going to get better from your utility. So to me, you want to save more, you get in early.
I love it. Hey, man, I love you guys. You guys
Yeah.
are great. Thanks for hanging out with me
Appreciate it.
today.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Curtis.
it.
Thank you, Rob.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
And
got it.
anybody out there, hey, check out our partners at Solaria.com.
Absolutely.
Seriously, look at some of the best product that's ever made for the solar industry that's
right.
currently out there. You can also go to SMAAmerica.com and look at the inverters and stuff.
Absolutely.
Or SolarEdge is another great residential application that we use.
Yeah.
Get involved. Don't just sit there. Don't let somebody say you can't do it. Ask, research, and then go do it.
Absolutely.
That's key.
That's it.
Okay, guys, until next time.
All right.
You got
Take
it.
care.
everyone.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon. Maybe we'll do something on Friday, Rob.
Let's do it.
man.
Okay,
That'd be
guys.
great.
Thanks
All right,
again.
take care.
Thank you.
The Energy Hour was brought to you by
For beauty, efficiency, and power, the only product we know in the solar industry is Solaria. Maximum power. For nearly 25 years, Solaria has set the pace for solar panel performance, efficiency, reliability, quality, and design. Maximum power. Solaria continues to leverage its patented technology, engineering expertise, and sophisticated automation into creating one of the most attractive, energy-efficient solar panels available on the market today. Maximum power. What really defines home solar? How about Solaria? Quality you can trust for your home or business. Solaria is the new benchmark for solar energy. Where do you get this panel for your home or business? Go to QHIinc.com. That's QHIINC.com/Solaria. SOLARIA.
Thank you for listening to The Energy Hour. Visit them on the internet by going to qhiinc.com/TEO. That's qhiinc.com/TEO.